Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We are hanging out in the house today, mostly because it went from being really, really hot to being rainy and very, very cold. So instead of going outside and doing anything, we're going to talk about another rabbit breed. We're going to talk about the Argente Brun. Now, the Argente Brun is a Canadian origin breed, so it came from Canada. And it's medium in size, ranging from about 8.5 to 10.5 pounds. It's a really sweet rabbit, and there's actually both a US version and a UK version of this rabbit. The UK version is a little bit smaller. So when I'm talking about the Argente Brun today, I am talking about the US version, the one recognized by ARBA. So this rabbit is primarily named for its color. So there's a few different Argente breeds, and the Argente Brun is the chocolatey colored one. So the top color will be this kind of a beautiful silver, but if you move down that hair shaft, you will find it turns into a kind of a frosted or a silver chocolatey brown. It's a really beautiful deep coloring. The coloring should be fairly even, so it should be the same kind of ticking across the entire body, but it is normal and desirable to have a slightly darker nose, ears, and feet. There are also longer dark brown guard hairs that are kind of evenly dispersed throughout the coat, giving this rabbit kind of a fluffier appearance, even though it's not necessarily a fluffy rabbit. It has normal flyback fur, meaning when you brush the fur in the wrong direction, so when you brush the fur backwards, it flips back in place pretty quick. So there's rollback fur and there's flyback fur, and the Argente Brun has flyback, so it snaps back in place. Rollback is a lot slower. So there's the two primary types of rabbit fur, and these guys do have that flyback, so it snaps back in place. They also have really upright ears, and their ears are really very soft, and they're in good proportion to the head. So they have a really neat appearance instead of looking kind of clunky with ears that are too long or too short. They have a really neat, rounded appearance. They are born just their solid base color. So they're not born with all the fancy kind of ticking and variation in color. They're born just one solid color. The adult coloring shows up sometime in the first 4 months. It doesn't show up before 6 weeks, but it can take up to 4 months to show up, and that's actually really normal. So sometimes when people get the Argente Brun, they are worried that the color is wrong or the color isn't developing because the rabbit is 2 or 3 months old and they still haven't developed that adult coloring yet. It will come. The coloring just takes time. It should be noticeable by about 4 months, but it can take up to 6 months for it to be fully realized. So by 4 months, you should be able to say, yep, this is an Argente Brun, but it might be a couple more months after that before it really finishes coming in, because the rabbit is growing up, getting its adult coat, and they're rabbits, not machines. The timing can be a little bit different. They are really good-natured rabbits. They're really sweet. They're easy to have around. They're really quite good with children, and they make excellent pets. So in addition to being a real showstopper and pretty on the show circuit and occasionally used for meat, they make really nice pets, and they are a breed that I tend to recommend to people looking for a pet, mostly because they make good ones. So do consider the Argente Brun if you are looking for a rabbit. They're not super endangered or anything like that. They're fairly common, especially where I am, but they're still a quality rabbit, and they're a lot of fun to have around, and they're quite pretty. So definitely check them out. That's about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. We'll see you tomorrow.